Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to iHeartRadio So Bad It's Good. Today, we have somebody that I got to meet at BravoCon. And it was this really interesting kind of experience because I had been like meeting Bravo Lebs all day. And I was in this lobby bar and I was decompressing. And like right next to us was like Real Housewives in New Jersey. Across from me was Garcelle from Beverly Hills. And then there was this group of girls across from me and they looked like they were having the time of life. And I was looking like I was having the time of my life, but I was by myself. And then I was like, she looks so familiar to me. And I was like, people just have that kind of star quality, I think. And then we ended up talking, and it turns out, no, she is a star and on her way to be a bigger star because she is one of the stars of a show on Bravo that you need to watch. This is why I'm doing this interview, you guys, because I had only watched one episode at the time I met her, and now I have binged the entire series because it's super easy to do. With streaming, you guys, but we cannot have this be a one and done show. We can't have this be another Gallery Girls. So I am making a public plea. She is coming on this show to show us how awesome she is. Adja Toure, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much. What an intro.
I can keep going because, by the way, you are not only, you're not only on a reality, well, now you're a reality star, but did you graduate from like Cornell or something insane like that?
Yeah, I graduated early, in fact, so even smarter.
So not just Cornell. She wanted to make sure I knew it was early. And you guys, she has a, what is it? Labelle Cuisine? What is
Labelle qui Cuisine. Yeah, that's my Instagram food page.
Wait, say it one more. See, she's got the French thing down. Say that one more time for me again.
Labelle qui Cuisine. It means the pretty person who cooks. So pretty fitting.
So you guys, I'm going to ask her a bunch of questions, but I really need you to watch this show because there is a charm to this show. The first episode is kind of slow, but it sets up these characters. But by the 10th and final episode, like they go to con. We're going to find out where she is with this dude. I mean, she's finding out things about herself, but it's this kind of interesting. It captures this moment in these ladies in their early 20s, their lives and getting successful and all different types of women. And I thought there was just something so intriguing with the backdrop being Paris. But how did you end up? Because you're originally like you lived in New York before you went to Paris, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I was living in Paris I was living in New York prior to Paris. I was like, where was I? So I was there for like 4 years. And then once the pandemic hit, I was ready to shake things up, talk to my therapist about it. She said, maybe you could move cities.
Your therapist said, let's move cities potentially?
She was saying it as a suggestion. One of the things I have to unpack is taking everything too literally because I told her very shortly afterward that
She was like, wait, you're still going to keep me on though, right? Like, even if you go to Paris, we're going to still talk, right?
We've since parted ways.
Because I did not enjoy her advice. So you took her advice though, and during the pandemic, you did something unimaginable and you moved to Paris.
Exactly.
What were you thinking? Honestly, what were you thinking?
I was thinking, I have family in Paris. I've been wanting to do this for a long time now that I was fully remote at my job and I had no, sights on going back to the office. It made sense to me to just, sublet my apartment, move to the city for like 6 months to a year, depending on what visa I got. So ended up with a really good deal and moved to Paris like within 2 months of making that decision.
Now, and when does that line up with filming? And what is the process of getting on a show? I don't want to ruin the magic of behind the scenes of a show, but I do want to know how you wind up on a show called Real Girlfriends in Paris.
Well, I think it was somewhat kismet because I was already making moves to go to Paris and they were looking for people like me, young women with their careers, with love lives, whatever it may be, living their best lives in Paris. And since I was on my way to doing that, they were like, oh yeah, not just a diversity hire. She's actually pretty sick.
That's another thing is that the representation is amazing on this show. There's 2 African-American expats. One has to, unfortunately, I didn't want to ruin the show or anything. But you stay the entire season, which I think is amazing. And the representation is amazing. But more importantly, is just that what I love is that I feel like all of you girls have this different kind of drive about you. And it's something like the Avengers or something. All of these girls have a special, unique quality when you get together. but you get there and you start, I mean, like, is there a boot camp? I wouldn't know the first thing to do if somebody to put a camera on me. How long does it take you to get used to just doing that?
I will say that was one of the better compliments I got was people said you're really natural on camera. And I think it's because I have like really bad ADHD. And so I think I'm always talking to myself and I think I'm on camera at all times, that it was just second nature.
You've been on a reality show potentially your entire life so far.
Yeah, there's a lot of voices in here directing how I act.
Wait, I know this is jumping all over the place, but I just want to also recommend her Instagram. She cracked me up this a Halloween, you guys. She posted a picture from 2017 where her and her friend dressed in like Ray J and Kim from the infamous sex tape. Because I was like, wait, why does this look familiar? And the second slide has the Ray J and Kim. And I was like, it is one of the biggest pop culture moments ever. And I think it is interesting to have women of your age on this show that like kind of were raised in pop culture in a way. You're very familiar with Kardashians. And what was your familiarity with Bravo starting the show?
Yeah. So I wasn't like super, super well versed in Bravo, I'll be honest. Like what I get from like the Housewives, those kinds of snippets is usually from like my Twitter. And that's how I keep up to date because I genuinely don't have the brain power to watch that much television. That being said, I have been very much into like the world of reality TV. I was a huge Bachelor Nation person.
You're Bachelor Nation. Oh my gosh. Whoa. Okay.
I watched The Hills. Like I remember like literally sneaking my laptop and like binging it at like 4 a.m. during high school. Like when my parents were like, you have to stop watching TV.
Wait,
like
who were you crushing on The Hills?
Oh my God.
Were you a Brody? Were you a Brody?
I loved Brody. I loved Brody, but he was kind of an ass. Like, let's be real.
Yeah.
I always thought that Spencer, Heidi, they were kind of weird to me.
Isn't it wild that they're the ones that lasted? Isn't it wild?
No, because they make the most sense to me. I won't elaborate too much further, but they make perfect sense together.
So you are natural on camera. I will say that. And there are all of these different women that we get to meet of all different. Well, I mean, one is coming out, but by the way, I feel like that was teased the entire season. And then in the final episode, we finally get to see them meet, which was fascinating. When did you stop filming the show? Are you allowed to say?
I don't know. So let's skip it.
Okay, let's skip it. But I mean, are you still in touch with all of these women? Like your lives have obviously moved on. And my thing is like, I mean, this is a sad prayer because we shouldn't pray for just reality shows, but I need a second season of this. Let me just ask that. Would you be willing to do a second season?
Yeah, I would definitely be willing to do a second season. I'm very eager to, honestly, because I think there's a lot of storytelling left. And, I think the drama that we left off on in the last episodes there's been other things transpiring since that I would love to kind of share with the world.
You know that it's like a decent reality show when you get even fascinated by somebody hanging curtains. When I'm just like, oh my God, I hope Gora like gets those curtains up in time. Like I'm a dude watching these shows and I'm like, okay, all right. Also, I love your opinions on men that you even say in the show. French men, you guys, is the difference between French men really want to be dominated, and you found that to be true.
Yeah, I got some real weird DMs and like Hinge messages, like people being like, oh yes, like please be my African goddess and treat me like a white boy slave. And I was like, honestly, for a check, maybe.
That's it. Yeah. I mean, wait, what was it? You were in the conversation with what's her name? And she was, like, oh, I don't want to encourage you to be a courtesan, a French prostitute at some point, and you were like, for money. What?
Literally, I'd do it for a check.
So, I mean, were there, with these reality shows, they are real to a basic degree. They truly are. I mean, can you tell us where you are with the other ladies in this and who you're, I guess, the closest with? I mean, in the one, one of the episodes, you got in trouble just for partying in the room, the can place, and not inviting the other lady over. And she was like, she was wanting to party and you guys were just having a conversation and she thought you were talking about her.
Yeah. Well, I guess that was a two-part question. So one, where are the relationships? I think that where the relationships stand is represented on those last few episodes.
Really?
So I'll leave it at that people need to go watch and find out and see who likes who. I think we all like each other, but like who's closest with whom. And I think that's pretty evident. As for the con situation, long story short, no one was talking shit. Like genuinely, it was completely misconstrued, and insecurities get the best of us all the time. And I respect that because I have definitely gotten into my own head about things. However, I don't necessarily take them and run with it, but to each her own. But I think that what's portrayed on the show is a small snippet of how that whole evening transpired. But at the end of the day, like we did end up going to sleep very shortly afterward. It wasn't
okay, good. Thank God.
Staying up late. It was really just I think you see, like I was just making fun of myself, not understanding.
But that's what I love about reality shows was that was actually a thing. In her head, that was a thing. And I was like, wow. Is it true that you were actually on the Parisian dating apps before you even landed?
100% true. I am very type A.
Now, that was just to get ahead of the game? Like, what is, and what was your dating, if I may ask, what was your dating life during the pandemic in the city, New York?
Oh, man, that was probably my longest dry spell. And that was...
I love that you're like 24 years old. You're like, it was really, truly one of the longest dry spells I've ever had in my life.
To be fair, though, I feel like each dry spell was like a good 2.5 months each.
yeah. Try a decade. Come on. Are you kidding me? Like, come on.
Yeah, so dating during the pandemic was not exactly called dating, in my opinion. I did end up dating a few people, like actually going on full-fledged dates with masks, outdoors, everything like that. And it was kind of weird, especially, getting to know people mostly online. Like usually there's like a quicker transition, but it's kind of hard to like make reservations and meet people and all that with this illness, floating around. But with the getting Tinder passport before I moved to Paris, that was just kind of a genius move on my part. I was like,
I didn't know there was such a thing.
Things to do. Yeah.
I didn't know there was such a thing as Tinder passport, and you were already on it. So, I mean, did you just hit the ground running when you got to Paris in terms of dating?
Yes.
Okay. Now,
frankly, yeah.
we do see you really get into a relationship with a man who seems like a very sweet, lovely man who, even cleans your apartment at one point. But I do have to say it wasn't that clean. Like he was like, oh my God, look at this. And I was like, the bed wasn't like perfectly made. It was just all right.
It was my kitchen.
I thought you then, but then the camera panned to the back and I was like, that's barely made. But you were so... Yeah. But does that speak to something about men and even men in America is that we really do the bare minimum? So it is so impressive when somebody does go out of their way.
That's definitely a global thing. Y'all do the the minimum, but also do the most. I can't.
Well, I'm assuming then you're not going to be able to tell us what your status is with Alex right now.
Oh, I can. Yeah. So check my Twitter.
Okay, well, you know what? This is good. So everybody can follow her on Twitter. What is your Twitter handle?
Adja T.
Oh my gosh. This is not good for
DJ.
This is not good for my dyslexia. ADGA. Are you going out with him or not?
Yeah, I'll tell you. Yeah, so we're still together. It's been almost a year. I think our 1 year anniversary will be in actually a couple weeks.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're in New York currently, right? Well, because when I met you at BravoCon, you were like, weren't you flying out to Dubai?
No, that was one of the trips that I had in my last little bout of travel. So I had come in from Paris, was in New York for the week of BravoCon, went back to Paris, then to Germany for a weekend with Alex to see his family, and then back to Paris, and then back to Dubai, and then back to Paris. And now I'm back in New York.
I'm so sorry I got that wrong. I should have had that specifically right. That is wild. I mean, have you always been a traveled woman your entire life? Like, well, and where were you raised?
Born and raised in Northern Virginia. As far as being well-traveled, I'm definitely lucky because I have family in other countries, but I wasn't doing like a lot of different countries. It was like France, Senegal, and like Canada. So most of my travels were of my own accord once I hit adulthood. It's like the minute I turned 18 and I was in college, like I was going all over the world.
So that was something of interest. I want to see everything.
Yes, 100%.
What was your because BravoCon for me like blew my mind away, and now you're a part of this. Like I keep comparing it to the Marvel universe. You are a part of the Marvel universe, and this is your freshman season, so you're just getting known. Like I want to get many eyes on this as I can. But did it still blow you away? Were you still kind of shocked about like it was pretty shocking to me?
It was crazy. I genuinely had zero expectations. I had no idea what the first BravoCon was like. Because I mean, again, I wasn't super into the Bravo world, but in recent months, I've started to brush up on my lingo and understanding all these references. So it was kind of crazy. I got to meet some people who I had met online, like Katie from Vanderpump Rules. Like I have the biggest girl crush on her, and we finally got to meet in person.
Katie Maloney, yeah.
Yes.
Wait, did you guys dish about her divorce at all? Is Schwartz? Did she tell you anything about the guys?
I plead the fifth.
Oh my God, you are such a Bravo celebrity already. Like I plead the fifth. Give me. Okay, who else did you get to meet that you dug?
Oh my God, there were just so many people. I mean, I got to meet Chanel Ayan, absolute idol.
Wasn't she gorgeous?
She looked amazing every single night. And I was only there, I met her on Friday and then saw her again on Saturday. But genuinely, I was blown away by her presence alone. I also have a really big girl crush on Sarah Almadani. She is the kindest woman I've ever met. She is so beautiful, and I don't know, she's like kind of soft spoken and like so like soothing in her tone. Like I could listen to her speak for hours. Like she's amazing.
I think we talked to her at the same time in the lobby on one of the nights. You probably had many again, but like I remember getting a picture with her, and just I usually don't like. I was stunned. I was like,
she's so beautiful.
Everybody
was it in her like tuxedo look on Friday night?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. That was when, because we were in the lobby and you and your friends were laughing right across from me, and I was having a martini and some fries, and the Jersey cast was right next to me. And I'm just like, this is mind blowing to me. Was there anybody that you didn't get along with? Was there anybody that gave you attitude? Did Jen Shaw push you at all from Real Housewives?
Oh my God, no, Jen Shaw really liked me. We had like
you met Jen Shaw?
Oh, she really liked me. I'm sorry. No one has beef with me. I'm very charming.
No, I'm just shocked that, well, because Jen Shaw was the big talk of the town because supposedly she wasn't invited, and then she just like at the party, which I saw you up at too, she was like dancing the night away at the party. Yes. And I was like, she could move better than me at any age.
No, she's fantastic. I really like her, and I have no beef with anybody that I met at BravoCon.
I love that you're like, I do have beef with people, but just not the people I met at BravoCon.
Yeah, everyone was really nice, super accommodating, like again, freshman season. So people were like, oh my God, like congratulations. Like I heard about your show, haven't watched it yet, but I will. And I was like, I have heard of your show, also have not watched it. Maybe I
will. Now I know you have a dude, but did you get hit on at BravoCon? Did Shep from Southern Charm hit on you? Because at the party, I was watching him go around, hit on every girl. And I knew who hit on you at BravoCon.
I don't know if I want to blow up anybody's spot, but I did exchange a couple of numbers.
You even took the numbers?
Yeah.
Wow.
Hey,
I'm just gonna assume it's Shep from Southern Charm. Like I'm just gonna assume.
No, it's not. Well, I don't have his number, but he does follow me. So
I bet it's Austin. Austin is it a Southern Charm cast member? You don't even know? Okay. Dang, I want to know. Back to where you're at now. I was just looking at your Instagram stories, and you have one of the most complicated Excel spreadsheets for Friendsgiving. We are headed into Thanksgiving, and you do know your way around food. What is your Friendsgiving? I was like, what is she doing? Like, you take this very seriously.
Yes, I do. I'm hosting. Oh, do you see this little fly attacking me? Oh my goodness. I have fans everywhere. that was Shep. So Friendsgiving, I have like 20 people coming over. I am doing a couple different chickens. We're doing some Asian influences on some of the dishes. So I got my classics, like my mac and cheese, my mashed potatoes, sweet potato casserole. But we're also doing one chicken with like a 5-spice kind of blend. Also doing some Chinese sauteed green beans, like really interesting, intricate stuff. Also doing like assorted alliums in a look fall sauce, just have a little bit of French in there too. I'm really excited. It's going to be one of my best.
That's one of the fun things too, you guys, for a El Stupido like me, where you watch the show and they all speak in these beautiful accent. I mean, it's just the language itself, and they can all speak. It's really, I really highly
Most
recommend
of
it.
us can.
Well, yes, that is true, but you actually are one of the ones that can. So I
Yes,
thought,
fluent.
if reality shows never became a part of your life, what are you a vision board person? What had been your dreams in life, where even if the reality show never happened, this is what you were after?
Okay, well, it's not a dream per se, but I know people want me to get married to Alex, but I'm so sorry. I have to get married, not for love, but for rich. Okay. If you have money, sure. If you do not, I'm so
Finally,
sorry.
somebody's admitting it. I'm just so tired of people marrying rich dudes and then say it's for love. You're saying you've got to get married for rich.
I am not above it at all. In fact, I welcome it. No, but real talk. I do have a good education behind me. I probably would have gone to grad school. I was actually considering that. It was either get my GRE and go to grad school or move to Paris, and I choose the easier of the two.
Oh my God. And well, I mean, there's no expiration date on grad school really either.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's still on the table, but I am now dabbling in entrepreneurship, and that was also like always a goal of mine. But having a bit more of a personal brand now is kind of kicking my ass into high gear and saying, okay, you have a personal brand, you have a platform, like this is exactly the moment to kind of harness your ideas and start putting them into action. So that's what I'm working on, is my lifestyle brand.
Adja, how do you describe, what is your personal brand if you were to describe it to somebody? Like, I'm like, oh, so bad it's good, it's hard to explain. I'm like, oh, it's not, it's things I love, but I say so bad. But you are much more well-spoken than I am. What is your personal brand when somebody asks you, what is Adja?
Oh, you mean who, first of all?
Oh my God. Yeah, that's what I mean. I do mean who. But no, but if it's a brand, can't you say
if it's a
what
brand
is Adja? Yeah.
I think it's both. Yeah. So I guess my personal brand comes down to like, if you think slutty is a good or bad thing.
I think that's in Bill Gates's first line of his brand. I think
we the people of the United States of Asia.
I'm sorry. It's okay. Didn't expect that.
No,
Okay.
I think my humor is definitely a big part of who I am. So definitely my personal brand is like, I always cracking jokes. It's like very much tossed at the wall. If it sticks, thank God. If it doesn't, oh well, there's another one coming.
Yeah.
I think my intelligence is definitely up there. Like I don't think I'm necessarily the smartest person in the room, but I can at least say things with conviction and everyone believes me. So scary.
No, I mean, you see that, I think, multiple times on the show. How much a lot of people are motivated by fear. Are you one of those people that have fear, or I have full belief in myself. There is no fear.
Oh, I wouldn't say like I operate off of fear, but I definitely still have shame and I have enough self-awareness.
I love you
like,
say depends on what you think of as slutty, and then you're like, I do have shame though. Yeah.
Surprisingly enough, both can exist in this linear plane.
What do you think the show got right about you? Did you watch every episode? I mean, and how hard of an experience was that for you to watch?
Goodness gracious, my facial expressions. I open my mouth way too wide all the time when I'm shocked. I go so much more than I thought I did.
But see, I watch all 10 episodes. I didn't really notice that, but I love the things that we pick up on that you're like, yeah, because I'll say like way too much, and then you hear it back and you're like,
I actually think that's something that I did more of on the show, probably due to jitters or nerves, but I don't say like that much as a filler word when I'm speaking, but I noticed that I did it a lot more when filming. So I don't know if it was because of the way things were cut and it just made it seem as though I was saying a lot more, but generally, I don't know. I don't think I really sound like that. I also think what they got right is, that's kind of hard to say because I think that there were a lot of things missing, like context. So it's like, that was kind of right. Like that is kind of who I am, but there's like an added layer to it. And so I think the worst thing that, like, I'm my harshest critic is yes, I did just make that slutty joke. However, I'm not like a sex crazed like
No. And
clown.
the show, and by the way, and I also want to make that point. That was a joke on my part as well. The show doesn't paint you like that at all. It paints you with a
A
really
little
fun
bit.
set. No, it
They
paints you
think
with a
I
fun
make a
sense of
lot of
humor.
dirty jokes, and
Well,
I make jokes about everything.
I also think it's very potentially brave, and I wonder if you ever found it cringe watching back when we do see you falling in love, because sometimes that's like a hard emotion to have other people watch you, like, because the feeling is sometimes foreign and it's like, ugh, and to watch that on screen, was that hard at all for you?
Um, it's like kind of funny seeing me be like ooey gooey, honestly, because I'm not necessarily an ooey gooey person. So it was cute, but also just jarring and also like so cringy. To see me
No,
be like, oh, you're so cuddly. Like, oh my God, well, why am I talking
no,
like
see,
that?
it was
You're
kind
a
of nice
grown
because
woman.
it was like I found myself rooting for him, and then I got nervous as the shows. I was like, okay, what's going to happen? And then I was even nervous to ask you today, and I did not know how to spell your Twitter name, so I obviously could have found out much earlier. No, but I was really, there was something very, it harkened me back to my 20s and falling in love. Like, I don't know, it was just really sweet. And before this interview, I've already explained who every cast member is, so you guys will have a little bit of a cliff notes for this. In the second season, let's just assume you have one. What would you like to highlight, or what would you hope would be highlighted that you did not get to highlight in the first season?
I think a really big thing that was cut that is probably just like anti-Bravo zone is any discussion around the racial undertones of our dynamics as a friend group. They were mentioned in scenes that were not surfaced, but I think that it's a really important conversation. At one point in the show, like, I'm a standalone Black girl among four white women. Like, there are things that were said and there were microaggressions that were passed around and there were things that I addressed. But it doesn't necessarily work with the storyline. Therefore, it's not necessarily going to make the cut. And I think that I at least implore Bravo to take a little bit more of a stance and a risk in the future if there's a season 2. I think that it's not even risky. It's just like, it's an important conversation
you would see
for our viewers.
There would be a natural path to actually discuss that, especially since we know these women now, we know these characters,
exactly.
That you can actually broaden the horizon in bigger issues. Like, sometimes, I mean, there's no excuse here for any of that, but like, sometimes you're like, okay, we have the foundation, we know these women. Now, can we learn more about these women and how they interact, not, just socioeconomically, but, racially, all of these different things. Because that's what I was wondering as well, is like, what is it like to be a Black woman in Paris?
Yeah, that's definitely a question that I get a lot. And I think every Black woman will have a different response. And for me, as I mentioned, white men want to be dominated by me. So take that or leave it. It's not really a compliment, but it's not really that flattering. It's kind of weird. So if you kind of take that as like a microcosm of how it feels to kind of be like otherized or fetishized, there's a downside. But also on the flip, which I've also discussed, is that it's less quote unquote taboo to be with women of color. And so I also felt the pros of that, in which people were genuinely interested in me past like not just the fetishy way, but like actually in a genuine way. And that's how I ended up with a boyfriend who is so loving and caring and also is well versed in dating women beyond his own race. So
which you said you were actually you said you were actually kind of comforted in that. There was a sense of relief that he had a history of that. And I found that such a realistic statement from you. I was like, wow.
Thank you.
Also, what's your issue with Murray Hill in New York?
I noticed that. It's not my issue with Murray Hill. It's about a guy from Murray Hill who happened to have all those characteristics. I was thinking about him every single time.
What is the hardest criticism you've gotten from your family that have watched the show?
My younger cousin was like, "You gotta drink a lot," and I said, "And what? I'm not drunk. I'm fun."
Well, you did have that one episode. You were at, like, she had a coffee and you were already on the espresso martini.
It was So
No.
it has coffee in
No,
it.
I was applauding you. I was saying that's amazing. I wasn't. And by the way, I will say,
I'm joking.
Adja, like in the brief couple of times I saw Adja and her friends, you just seem like a really fun person. I was like, that's why I was like, oh, and then I found you on the show, and I was like, of course. Like, why? I mean, you just seem like one of those people that you would watch, and I don't mean that in a creepy male way. I'm just saying that you have this kind of vivaciousness, and you're full of life, and I think that's why one of the reasons I recommend the show and why I think you're a standout character on the show. I am so sorry that I did not watch the show from the beginning, and now I kind of regret that. So I need everybody out there, and I'm not joking around. Like, you do this, you watch this, and the first episode, like I said, starts slow. You want, but by even the second episode, it gets increasingly better and better and better. And then once they get to Cannes, and then I mean, you really actually invest. There's so many humorous moments. I keep comparing it to Gallery Girls, but like it's like these women are much smarter than the women of Gallery Girls, and there's more of a realism to it. But it's just one of those examples I pick as a 1-season show that we all regretted not having a second season. And I don't want to see that happen here. But how else do we support you? How else do we support you in the meantime, Adja?
I mean, to be honest, I've been supporting myself since I was 18. So if you want to send me cash, you can, but I'm okay.
No, I mean, like, is there a project coming up? Is there like, I mean,
so I'm currently working on my lifestyle brand. It's called Atelier Toure. Atelier is spelled Atelier, Toure, like my last name. And so that's going to be coming out in 2023. So you can expect things that I'll leave teasers online. I kind of want to keep a little bit of brand mystique, but you can sign up for alerts on when the store is ready to launch. So if you go to that ateliertoure.co, you can check it out right now.
And you guys, I'll link to that on the show. I'll link to that on the show notes, so it'll be an easy click.
Thank you. And then, you can follow me on socials. I think I'm a riot. I have great captions.
You actually are. I mean, you really are. No, you are a riot. I mean, they're really, I've been back to the Ray J Kim. I don't know why I'm so disturbed. Like, I can't, I've actually gone back a couple times to look at that, because I just didn't get it at first until the second slide. And ever since I saw the second slide, I went back there a couple times because it just keeps making me laugh for some reason. To just have even the idea to do that as a Halloween costume is brilliant.
Thank you so much.
What's the weekend plans for you this weekend?
Friendsgiving is definitely top of mind. I also am doing an F1 brunch with my girlies. So excited.
What's an F1 brunch?
Watching Formula One at brunch.
Oh my God. Okay. Yeah. Formula One. Got it. And then any Keith McNally restaurants in New York this weekend? Are we going to be treating the wait staff of all New York restaurants good? I'm just fascinated with the James Corden story oh
my God. I can't stand anyone who's rude to wait staff. Like, right? It's actually the biggest fucking turnoff. Excuse my language, but it grosses me out.
No, I mean, I agree.
Red flag.
And New York, it was so lovely being there. And I feel like this kind of bigger version. I mean, final question, the New York and Paris, what are the differences? Because New York has its own kind of romance, I feel, but Paris, just even how it's filmed beautifully, seems like on steroids, New York.
Okay, well, if I do like a quick side by side, they both have piss, shit, and rats. Okay, let's start with the real.
Okay, you've sold me. I'm in. Yes.
But on the flip, while New York has like its charm in kind of like a hustle and bustle kind of way, Paris is a little more relaxed and it's a slower pace of life. You're going to be at restaurants for hours and you're not going to get amazing service. Like, people aren't going to be rushing you out of your seat. If you are, it's considered rude. There's a lot more respect for business owners. You say bonjour to everyone. You don't just walk into stores and just like silently mill about. Like, you say hello and you better mean it. I also think that it's really evident in just like the architecture. Like, Paris is very unique in that manner. And like, yes, New York has its awesome different neighborhoods and it has so much charm and it is unique in its own way. But I think that Paris, the reason people romanticize it so much and the people keep making the movies and the television shows and the writing the books about it, is because you get to like see a real piece of history everywhere you walk. And frankly, America does not have a sliver of the history that Paris brings to the table. So as somewhat of a history nerd, that's also kind of a reason why I really enjoy European cities. And so Paris being my current home base, it's really nice to have like, quaint streets and like old school apartments that have no heating or wiring, but still, builds
Look,
character.
And kudos to the production and the crew that really got to shoot Paris. It's a beautiful, beautiful cinematography for a reality show. It really does capture certain elements of what you just explained.
Totally.
And also just congratulations on not buying the pink Kenzo jacket. I felt like that was a good call. That you
I would have bought it for Anya. She wanted to split it. I said, let's split it. And then she realized it was the adult decision not to do so. And I said, then let's not. But I would.
We got Anya's wedding coming up. We got there's so many.
So much.
There's so much. Adja, thank you so much for being here. It was so lovely to meet you there. And thank you for being so nice to us today. The show, once again, Real Girlfriends in Paris. It is so easy to stream nowadays, whether you're on DirecTV, YouTube TV, your cable company. All you do is go to your streaming and you type in Real Girlfriends in Paris, or you can talk it into your remote. It pops up. You'll probably have to watch a couple of commercials, but they have all 10 episodes streaming, also on bravotv.com. And we'll put all of Adja's information in the show notes as well. So please give her a follow. I'm invested in this show. I need it to come back. And I hope to talk to you again on the second season.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Ryan. This was a pleasure.